Here it is. We're doing live predictions for the Gophers versus the Badgers. It's for real. It's game time. It's time to talk, and we've got our favorite co-host, Tristyn Spann-Ford, coming up next.
Hey,
you are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Robb, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week. And we are joined by our weekly co-host, Tristyn Spann-Ford. We are getting the final regular season predictions going today. And today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. So be sure to create an account and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. But Tristyn, it's time. It is Wisconsin week. We have to win to get a bowl game. How are you feeling so far?
It is. It's bittersweet. I'm optimistic, actually. Surprisingly enough. Well, not surprisingly. You know, I can always get myself there. I'm optimistic this week. I'm excited. It feels like as how many games felt winnable this year and weren't. This feels like a winnable game. I'm very sad that this will be the last game, though. That's kind of a bummer, but here we are. It had to come.
I feel that. And we're gonna do a light year in review really quick before we get to the predictions themselves for this Wisconsin game. So I want to ask you, what do you think, in your opinion, was the biggest moment for the Gophers this season? What was the number one thing that stands out to you that you're like, man, if we had to look back at this season, the one thing that was huge for me was what?
It's got to be the Iowa win. I mean, we didn't have a lot of super standout highlight points, but that Iowa win, as ugly as it was, and I know Iowa fans will always have an asterisk on it, but a win's a win, and we don't apologize for wins. So I'm going to go ahead and say Iowa. That was like getting over that hump. It felt good.
Absolutely, especially when Iowa goes 10-2 and you're one of those two. We'll take it. I don't want a win is a win. That's exactly what it is. Now, my biggest thing, I think, if I put the Iowa one aside, because I kind of thought you might go there, mine's the Jordan Newman game, the game where he balls out for 200, where you're just like, where did this come from? We didn't think we had any running backs left. And he's like, no, I got this. And the special moment between him and Tyler Newman, that was pretty sweet as well. Now, speaking of players, who was the most surprising player for you this season for the Gophers?
That's kind of that's the direction I would go, is Jordan Newman as well. I mean, I want to say it came out of nowhere, but I think there were people on the team who kind of knew what he had. But once his number was called, he was ready to go, and it was awesome. So I'd definitely go Jordan Newman.
For sure. I'm gonna say Darius Taylor, because I was touting in the offseason. I was like, this kid's for real. Like, he did some crazy things in high school, but then all of a sudden he actually gets some moments in the game and he pops off in 3 games in a row and has 510 yards in those 3 games. And he's leading the Big Ten. Like, I didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought he was going to have success, but that man is special. So hopefully the Gophers can find a way to keep him here.
Yes.
All right. With a tough year, we've got to answer the question, what was the biggest disappointment in your opinion this year?
I think it has to be, unfortunately, the passing game. I was very optimistic, and I don't put it on Ethan, not saying like he was an issue, but I think the lack of opportunities for Ethan to really show what he could do affected that, and that kind of, it was again the same old Big Ten, ground and pound, which, it is what it is, but that would probably be the biggest disappointment, just the lack of creativity that we had on offense.
Yeah, mine is right there. What you said right there.
Yeah.
I think it is the lack of creativity, and that's just because I thought we were going to shift a different direction. We had the pieces. We brought in the transfer receivers. We had Daniel Jackson. We had Brevin. We had all these guys coming back, Chris Bell, and then we didn't really pass the ball. And we got into it at times, but like it never felt like we were attacking, and that's my biggest disappointment on this year. But we'll move forward to which one opponent this season did you respect the most? After watching them play and seeing what they did, you're like, man, like, I'm not even mad.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, that Michigan team was incredible. And I don't think either of us thought we were going to see anything different. But that team is – I've never watched a college football team play that way before. I mean, I've seen, Georgia obviously is up there, but that team is incredible. That would be the number one where I was like, okay, and we put 10 points up on them, so that feels good.
I'm with you step for step there. That Michigan team is different, and I don't care about the science stuff. I don't care about that's not my wheelhouse. If we were the Locked On Michigan podcast, then maybe I'd care and maybe we'd talk about that a little bit. But I got respect for them just because that team was nutty on every single position out there. But the last question I have for you before we dive into – actually, two questions before we dive into the predictions themselves is I want to give you the floor. What has it been like watching your brother spend a full collegiate career here at home with the Gophers? And what has that meant for you, your kids, your family, just to have that bond or that relationship here at home?
It's incredible. I mean, it's weird, like, thinking about it, because it's the cliche of, like, it feels like it was like yesterday we were going on the visits, or we were bringing him to his dorm room and dropping him off, and he weighed, $150. It's very, very surreal. And, like, the memories that, like, my kids have been able to make there's nothing that can compare to it. Like, the stuff that they get to, like, we just celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday and Chris and Bryce were over. Like, my kids just getting to hang out with these guys, these great human beings, these positive role models is everything you could ask for. And so, like, Brev giving us that opportunity through his hard work it's long outreaching of what, the work he puts in affects the entire family. And, it's like, you never have those opportunities anywhere else. So it's been weird. It's been wild.
No, I love it. And tomorrow's going to be a big day, senior day. So I'm definitely looking forward to it all. But we're going to move on into the predictions. We're going to get into who scores the first touchdown, how many touchdowns we score, who's actually going to win this game, all of that and more coming up next. First, I got to talk to you about our friends over at eBay Motors, because passion, drive, and patience are what bring home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your vehicle alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. And with the winter coming, it's the spot to be when you got to get those last-minute enhancers before the snow is here and it's cold like Minnesota. So with over 122 million parts for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your vehicle or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. So with all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is for U.S. customers only. All right, it's time, Tristyn. We're jumping into the predictions, and I'm going to kick it off with how many touchdowns does the Gophers offense score this weekend against the Badgers here at home?
I have us right now at 4 touchdowns. No. Yes, 4 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns and some field goals, actually. 3 touchdowns.
I have us exactly at 3 touchdowns and some field goals. I feel like our prediction is going to be real close.
Oh, boy.
All right, we're going to go to the defensive side of things then. Who do you have leading this team in tackles? We don't know if Cody Lindenberg's back. It looks like there's still a bunch of injuries on this team. So who do you think steps up and leads the team in tackles in this one?
Team in tackles. I am going to go ahead and take a shot on a D lineman again. And I know it should probably be a linebacker, but Kyler Ball. I think it's going to be such a hard nose. It's going to be a game won at the line of scrimmage. And so I think he's going to have opportunities to make some huge plays.
I'm locking it in with Devin Williams. I think this dude has just been leveling up, and I am very impressed by his back half of this season. I think he could put his name into the conversation of being a huge leader on this team in the next season. And him and Cody together in that linebacker core next season could be huge. Not knowing if Cody's going to be there, I think regardless, Devin is going to have a great game. So I have him leading the team in tackles. Now, I think we're at least going to have one sack in this game. I'm putting it out there into the ether. So who is getting that sack? Call your shot right now.
It's gonna be Kyler. He is gonna just.
I think you got muted.
Oh, right, my mom called me.
We got you.
That's on Jackie. It's gonna be Kyler. It's gonna be Kyler Ball. It's gonna be him. I think we might.
All right, I'm going with the man who has been an absolute beast in the pressures. He has been a man on a mission, and I don't think we've given him enough credit here on our predictions. Ja Joyner is hitting home with the sack. He is getting one, maybe even two in this game, but Ja is going crazy in this game, and he is my pick. Now, the favorite one, the one that we've been right on 50% of the time. Who scores the first touchdown?
Oh, actually, I want to take a shot here. I want to take a shot, and I'm going to say Chris. I want to say Chris Altman-Bell. I think they're keying on Daniel Jackson, which they should. He deserves that. And so I think Chris is going to find himself open.
You know what? I'm taking a shot, and it's on a senior as well. I'm taking it with Tristyn Spann-Ford. I think both of those guys are going to get some love. They're going to get some touches. They're going to get some targets in this game. Senior day versus Wisconsin. And Brev has had some success in the 2 games against Wisconsin that he's been able to have so far. So I think he's going to add to that game as well. He gets the first touchdown, but I'm going to shift it to you. Do you want to pick offensive player of the game first, or do you want to pick defensive player of the game first?
I want defensive, actually.
All right, so then I'll lead with the offensive player game. I am locking it in Daniel Jackson. I think this man is about to go ballistic. I think that the Wisconsin Badgers, they have a respectable defense, but I think Daniel Jackson is going to be a man on a mission. Every time he's played Wisconsin, he's gotten better and better. Just like every season he's played, he's gotten better and better. And I think this is the game where he absolutely puts it together. I think he's going to get close to 100, if not above 100, and a touchdown. So that tells you what direction I think this game might be going. But Daniel Jackson is my player of the game. So who is your offensive player of the game?
Okay. Who is injured at the running back position?
That's the question of the week, isn't it? We don't know about Darius Taylor, and at this point, I just don't know. I would stay under the assumption that he doesn't play in this game. I would be under the assumption that it's the running backs we've been seeing. I can't imagine that Coach Fleck and them would, okay, he's healthy for this one game. If we see Darius Taylor again for this Gophers team this season, I think it's in a bowl game if we get to one. So it's all on the line with this one. So I don't know. That's where I would lean, but we don't know which way with the running back room right now.
All right. Then I'm going to go Jordan Newman. I think Jordan Newman, like I said, this is going to be a Big Ten football game, ground and pound, baby.
All right. So he's got Newman as the offensive player game. I have Daniel Jackson. Flipping it to the defense, you get to pick first on this one.
And that's wild. I'm going Newman ×2, baby. It's just going to be a Newman game. I'm very excited. Like, I think he's going to ball out. It's senior night. I love this team in the seniors' fact that they've beaten Wisconsin twice. I know Wisconsin had a coach turnover or changeover, so I think there's going to be a lot of guys on that team who haven't experienced this rivalry yet. And we have a ton of guys who have already played in it, 3-4 times, who understand what it means to this team and, what it means to this state. So I think it's going to be a really passionate game. I still think it's going to be a hard fought battle, but I just think they're going to ball out because they know what it means.
Hey, I get that, and I'm going with a guy who has played in this game time and time again, and he showed up big in this game. Justin Wally is my defensive player of the game for this matchup. We've heard about Wisconsin and how they want to be an air raid. They've been running the ball a lot, but I think they're going to try to pass the ball in this one. The Gophers have presented issues in the passing game on defense. So I think that Justin Wally is going to go out there and he's going to show remembrance of his freshman year, that big time interception. I think he's getting another one in this game. We're going to have flashbacks to that freshman year. So Justin Wally is my player of the game, but let's get into those score predictions. What is your official score prediction for this Wisconsin and Minnesota matchup here at Huntington Bank Stadium?
This game is close the whole way through, but we come out on top 27-17.
Ooh, okay.
I think that the last score is a late touchdown where we actually get a sigh of relief. We're just like a fourth quarter touchdown, like, whoo, 2 scores away, 10 points, we're good. And it's going to feel great.
See, I think this is going to be a scrappy game. I think there's going to be some early scoring and then a big fat middle of nothing and then some late scoring. And I am going with 27 for Minnesota as well. So we both have the exact same Gopher score. But I'm locking in. You're going to be holding your breath this whole game. I've got Wisconsin at 24, and it comes down to a late field goal. I've got 27-24, classic heart, hold your breath type game, and hopefully Minnesota is on the winning end of it so they can get into bowl contention and so much more. But we got to talk about over and unders. I've got some over unders that people are not going to want to miss. But on top of that, I've got a special one for you and your family as well, and that's one you're not going to want to miss coming up next. First, I got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Game Time because it is the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. And the best part, in my opinion, is that Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you the complete peace of mind with your purchase. Not only can you see your view from the seats before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, but also my favorite feature is the all-in price. You can toggle it to go all-in price on your tickets. So that way, if you're looking for 2 tickets, 4 tickets, whatever, you hit that all-in button and it shows your total up front. So you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. So check out the Game Time app. Snag tickets without the stress at Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, that's Locked On College for $20 off with the Game Time app. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're wrapping this one up with over-unders. This show is going to be a little bit shorter because you know what? We're doing it live. We're running with it, and hopefully we'll be just happy as can be after this Wisconsin matchup. But we're going over-unders to kick this off. The number of times that the Gophers take a shot or a risk in this game. That's the first over-under we're going with. I'm setting the line at 2.5. So the number of times that the Gophers take a shot or a risk, and we're not known to do that, but it is Wisconsin. It's the last game of the year. We're trying to get bowl contention. So the line is 2.5. Are you going over or under?
Every single part of my logical brain screams under. It screams under. But like you said, it is the last game. There's literally nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose at all. So I'm thinking we go over. I think we will. There are going to be we might pass on a 3rd and 6. Don't let us get hot on 3rd and 6.
We might pass on a 3rd and 6. You heard it here first. As much as that shouldn't be high praise, that would be high praise here in Minnesota. But I am going with the logical brain. I am going with my gut. I am going with the under on the number of shots or risks we take. But I'm going to move it to your brother. The number of targets that Brev will see this week, I'm setting the line at 3.5. What do you got, over or under?
I would hammer that over. I do like that over a lot. It feels easy in my head, actually. 3 is a good number for it. So I'm going over. I think you have a great game. I'm very excited.
Hey, I said over as well. It's senior night. If they don't get this man at least 3 or 4 targets, so the 4 targets being the over, I would be shocked. I'm not even going to lie to you. Senior night, Wisconsin, Brev turns up against Wisconsin. He's going over on the 4 targets. Now, I took these next 2 numbers from Prize Picks. So if you want to take a shot on these actual numbers, you can download the Prize Picks app. But the first one is the number of receiving yards for Daniel Jackson. They have the line set at 60.5 receiving yards. So do you have the over or under at 60.5? So 61 or more or 60 or less. What are you feeling?
Like you said, you do think that they're gonna throw the ball more. I'm thinking under, only because I think they're putting their best guys on Daniel Jackson. Like that, if you were a coach who was preparing tape, you're like, this is their guy. This is the guy we need to make sure does not have the ball in his hands. So I'm gonna go under just for I don't want it to, but
No, I know. You're right, though, that if you are a coach that is preparing for this team, you need to find a way to take Daniel Jackson out. But you know what? You can try as hard as you want, but Daniel Jackson is a bad man, and I do not think that the Wisconsin defense is built like Michigan or Ohio State, where you can try to take that away. They're just not built like that. I'm locking the over for Daniel Jackson. He's balling out. Like I said, I think he's getting close to 100 yards in this one. But then the other line that I took from Prize Picks is the number of pass yards for the Gophers for Eighth and Cali McManus. It's set at 172.5. So do you think there's an over or under when it comes to 172.5 passing yards?
I think there's definitely a potential for over there. I'm gonna say over. Not gonna overthink it.
I'm with you. I mean, if I'm going to give Daniel Jackson close to 100, I'm hoping we can get 73 from somebody else or between 3-4 other people. We'll see if we can make it happen. But the most important thing is the win in the end. Now we've got 3 left, 3 over-unders, and then we're going to wrap this show up. So the first one is total offensive yardage for Wisconsin. Does this defense come to play or do they not? And on top of that, I went to Wisconsin's average. They averaged 367 yards per game on offense. I've set the line at 374.5, so a little bump higher. Do you think they're going over or do you think they're going under on total yardage?
I think they're going to go under. I really think – I know the defense has let me down a few times this year, but I really think this is going to be this is an emotion game. Like this is a game that no matter what, we could be 0-8 up to this point or 0-9 or whatever, and I think we would still show up for this game. So I'm thinking it'll be under.
I'm with you too. You're going to get the best shot that we possibly can on this game every single year. And I'm with you. Even if they pass for 200 yards, even if they pass for 250 yards, this rush defense has typically held its own. Now, I know Purdue, Ohio State, those have been rough ones. Those have been the most recent ones. People might be like, oh, no, this rushing defense, we've looked terrible the last couple of weeks. But this rushing defense throughout the year has looked pretty good as a whole. So I'm going to put those two as anomalies, and the flame was burning out, but the flame will be fully lit for this Wisconsin game. And I think that they keep them under that 374. So then the final one I got for you, the final over-under, the fun one that I said you would have some fun here with the Spann-Ford family, is the number of times that someone in the Spann-Ford section, whether it be you, whether it be your wife, your pops, your mom, someone tears up throughout the day, not even at the game, but throughout the day. I'm setting the line at 4.5. Over or under?
The easiest over ever. My mom called me to double check the letters they wrote, the video they posted today. She called me to double check that it sounded okay, and she couldn't even get through the first 3 lines without crying. So it's good. Emotions will be high. I already know I will be crying as soon as we hit the field on Saturday.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot.
Maybe I should set it 14.5 because
it's still over. It's an easy over. It is. I'm so incredibly proud just thinking about it. I'm so excited. I could care less about even the football aspect of it, but my brother has grown up so much. It is awesome.
Yes. No, that's all love. Now here's where my mental process went, just in case. I was like, look, once Brevin does the senior day presentation, for sure, a 1. Check that out.
Yep,
once
done.
Chris Bell does the senior day presentation, for
done.
Sure, that's a 2. Once after the game, once Brev's with your kids at some point, for sure, that's a 3 for me. And then I said, possibly Brevin does tear up once himself throughout the day, for sure, that's a 4. And then you've got 1 more to get the over. So I was pretty smashed on that over as well. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm excited for y'all. I'm excited to see y'all tomorrow and for Brev to have his senior day, the Gophers to hopefully keep the axe here for 3 years straight. No matter what, I appreciate you and us being able to do these predictions each and every week. And hopefully we have one more for this season in a bowl game, but we will find out sooner than later because the matchup is tomorrow. If you're a Gopher fan, make sure you wear maroon. If you're a Badger fan, make sure you don't show up. We need it to be all Gopher fans out there. But regardless, it's going to be a great one. Thank you so much. This is Tristyn and Kane signing off. We will see y'all hopefully at the game, but otherwise, hopefully talking about a preview show for the bowl game next time. As always, roll the boat, Sky, you my go Gophers, and don't forget to subscribe.